Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. 1090 Jake, man, I'm rocking with y'all, let y'all rocking with me. This video right here is going to be about how I was cut inside of prison. A lot of y'all be asking me, oh, where'd you get cut at? I don't see the sky. What's the red line on Buddy's face behind you? So today I'm going to show y'all. This is where I was cut with a razor blade inside of Florida State Prison. It went down, it swooped, missed the tattoo, skipped and hit my neck. And let me tell you, compared to some other people, I got off so easy because some people be getting hit and it's bad. They get keloids, big old keloid scars. I didn't get hit that bad. I got cut, yeah, it left its mark, whatever. But it was only a state razor blade. It wasn't a box cutter. Those are the ones that really do the most damage. And it wasn't even deep enough that I had to get it stitched. I got it hot glued shut. So that was like, something they do in prison a lot. I had no idea. I thought I would get stitches, but they took a fucking glue gun and just shut my face with it. I got cut going down the stairs, not looking behind me. Somebody came up and slid it down my face, and that was that. I mean, the razors are so sharp, you just go like this, and they're gonna do what they need to do. But normally, people are gonna grab your head, force your head forward. They push it as they drag the razor back, which leaves deeper, nastier cuts, inflicting more damage, right? And obviously, everyone wants to know, how do you prevent getting cut? Sometimes you can't. Because in the youth offender prisons, you have to face forward. If you're caught looking back, the guards are going to think you're doing something. That's going to attract attention. That could result in you getting the shit smacked out of you. That could result in you getting PT'd. That could even result in you getting gassed if they think that you're going to pop off. Or if you have something on you, that could result in you getting searched, and now you're getting sent to confinement for possession of a weapon. So a lot of times you have to remain face forward. Some tricks that I learned, when you have the sun behind you, is you can see shadows. So instead of staring in front of you while you're marching, or if you're at an adult compound while you're walking, you can peep the shadows next to you and you can see movement. You can see if someone's walking up. It's, it's like your peripheral. You can peep game on what's happening. If you're walking through doorways, if you're walking through a close area where you got a fence on this side, a brick wall on this side, what a lot of people do is they'll put their hands up, and when they walk through, they put their hands like this, because if someone tries to cut, you're able to block it. It's going to hit your arms. It's not going to hit, your face. You can put your hands there, but I would rather put my hands all the way up like this and pretend I'm yawning or something. So that way it's hitting my arm and not my hands, because you're going to need your hands. You don't want your tendons getting cut out, because these box cutters cut through everything. They're cutting through fucking damn near bone. It's literally that bad. People can't use their hands anymore because of how badly they've been cut. Now, not everybody that gets cut has to go to medical. A lot of them do, but you do have some people that will take that cut and just literally stuff it with toilet paper and toothpaste, compress it, and basically let it heal like that. The toilet paper is gonna absorb the blood, and the toothpaste more or less just glues everything together and somewhat stiffens it up and tries to contain the cut itself. Usually people will only do this until they're able to get back. So what'll happen is someone will get cut, they'll try to patch it up, and then they'll try and go and hit somebody up. And if they're not caught in between that, they get to go put in some work. But there have been people where they just fix themselves, you know what I mean? And they'll ride out and it'll go undetected. They might risk infection, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's considered checking in if you walk up and show them, I got cut. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to do that. If they see you, that's one thing, but if you walk up and say it, or, hey, I need to go to medical, you're pretty much checking in, because whatever excuse you're going to give them, it's not going to work. Your ass is going to go under investigation and confinement. Now, I know people that have been cut, it couldn't be proved. They went under investigation, they got released onto the same compound. I know people that have cut people, and both people have stayed on that compound. It's crazy. Not every time someone's going to snitch, etc., etc. The kid that I cut at Sumter CI, he went psych. So I never got in trouble for it, and I actually saw him again when I came back out. The keloid scars, the big nasty scars that you see, that's more or less, it has to do with that person's skin. Everybody's different, but that's also what makes cutting even more dangerous. I have a brother named Shaq, and he's anemic. So when he gets cut, he doesn't stop bleeding. And when he got cut on his jaw, they hit a vein, and he almost bled to death at Sumter CI at 18 years old. Or he might have been 17 at the time, actually. And like I told y'all about the kid at Lancaster, his pinky was split in half. The tendons in his hands were cut out. And they cut that kid all the way around his head. They were trying to give them attempted murder charges. They said the kid almost died from bleeding excessively. These razors and box cutters are nothing to play with. And if you're going to an adult compound that isn't a psych camp, everybody is issued a state razor in their property. So everyone's getting a razor. Everybody has access to one. If you go to a psych camp, they're a lot harder to get because people got to sneak them into the compound. Lancaster was a psych camp, but we had outside work squads that used to throw box cutters over the fence. These aren't state razors. These are legit street box cutters that were detaching cheeks, that were making it so cheeks are hanging off and you can see teeth. They were cutting through the muscle in your jaw. People were having to get reconstructive surgeries. There was a kid from Orlando, a Mexican jumped on his back and cut him so bad. It was the ugliest scar I've ever seen in my life. The warden and the Florida Department of Corrections said they were actually going to pay for the reconstructive surgery to get rid of the scar because it came off his face at least 2 inches. It was just a mound of scar tissue. It was disgusting. You could see the dots where they staple stitched and, stitched it down, but it was nasty. And it's so common to see youth offenders that have been cut. That is one of the main reasons I didn't want any of my people to come to visitation, because they're going to see 14 to 24-year-olds with crazy scars on their face, scars on their throat, scars going across their face, all types of different shit. There was a kid at Lancaster, another one took a half of a soup lid. He had it in his hand. He did a spinning back fist and cut this kid with the soup can lid. And it just ripped him. Big, crazy, ugly scar that he's stuck with for the rest of his life. Me, I got blessed. This is nothing to talk about. This isn't really even that noticeable. But what's funny is when it gets cold, my skin tightens up and it actually hurts. I can feel pain on my face. And, in the summertime, if I tan, the sky tans a different color and it actually becomes more visible in the summertime. Now, a lot of people ask me, how does it feel to get cut? I didn't feel any pain at all. All I felt was something touch me. It almost felt like if you take your finger and just rub it down your cheek, because it's so sharp, you're not feeling the pain. What I felt was air. I could feel air inside of my face. And it was a feeling I never felt before. It was an unnatural feeling of something where it wasn't supposed to be. And then I felt warmth. And that was the blood that started to come down. And I bled a shitload. It was covering my whole shirt. It was bad. When you get cut or when you cut somebody, it's very, very bloody. But I felt no pain. When I was fired up with the brick, that felt more or less like a punch. I didn't think I was hit then. I had to get 3 stitches to close it because it was a hole. And they actually had trouble closing it because of how wide the hole was. But when I was cut, it was no pain up until the point when the nurses somewhat started to mess with it. And it really didn't hurt then. They pinched it together and they just zipped it with a hot glue gun. And that was that. So to me personally, as far as going through prison things, the worst thing, in my personal opinion, is getting stabbed or poked up. Now, I was poked. I never got stabbed. What is the difference? I would consider being stabbed with a knife. Being poked with a poker being an ice pick, a straightened out piece of fence, something like that. And I was poked up with a piece of a fence. It wasn't major. It was a petty TOH. It wasn't like they were really trying to stab me and put that shit 7 inches into my stomach. But I got poked up in my side and in my upper thigh. And it fucking sucked. It hurts. It burns. It stings. But it actually hurts more the next day because it isn't the initial where it's hitting you But it's the muscles, the skin, and the tissue that swells up and bruises the next day. And it makes the fucking side of your body lock up. Wherever you got poked up at, you lock up. So when you got to roll over in your bed or jump off your bunk, when you jump off that bunk and your feet hit the floor, you feel that shit up the whole side of your body. That's where the pain comes in. That's what made it so much worse, was that next day. After my face got hot glued, like in that picture, you can actually see my face literally, I don't know, 5-6 days after it happened. That was all with the hot glue and the scab. All of this was more so a scratch. This was the only thing that was deep. Like I said, I was fine, you know what I mean? But when I got poked up, that shit fucking hurt. That was a whole nother level of pain. And you know, when you see big ass knives, like K-Frogs, you know, shout out to K-Frog. When you see knives like that, you can only imagine the damage and the pain that comes with being hit with something like that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't really have access to the big knives at Lancaster. At the work camp, at one point in time, somebody actually had a switchblade from the street. But other than that, it was really just razor game. And a lot of these people don't understand, you know, as dangerous as knives are, the razors were causing more damage. And when I was at Lake Butler, RMC, Reception Medical Center, the nurse told me the worst cases that she's had have come from Lancaster CI. Whether it's somebody that's been poked up 100, 200, 300 times, whether it's somebody that's had their throat slit, that's had their cheek slit open and all the shit's hanging out, whatever it is. There was a kid at Sumter, he got hit with a poker and knocked his tooth out. Brando told y'all that story. Some wild ass shit. But for me, I just got a little slice. Nothing too crazy. I got the scar on the back of my head from when I got hit with the brick. Once again, not too crazy. And I got not really any scars. They kind of faded away from when I got poked up in my side. So as far as I'm concerned, I got it easy. I got blessed. I got enough to get a taste and an understanding of what I was doing to other people and how it felt to have it done to me. At the end of the day, though, I feel that when you go through something as traumatic as that, there's much to be learned from it. It's the same thing with a car accident. You'll have people that will drive recklessly, but once they crash, you realize you're not invincible. You realize that when you see something on the news and you don't think it can happen to you, it can very much so happen to you. And you need to realize that if you survived it, understand what you went through and move accordingly so that it does not happen again. You see what I'm saying? Once I got hit, a lot of different things started to change with the way I operated and moved in prison, with allowing people to be behind me, etc. And that's followed me onto the street. I have these same tendencies because I feel that if I don't move a certain way, I'm leaving an opportunity for someone to hurt me, which could result in my life being taken. And I hear a ton of prison channels talking about PTSD, and they've never been through a fucking thing. They never been stabbed, cut, nothing. Might have fought, but nothing's happened to a lot of these motherfuckers that claim they got PTSD. And I mean, that's the thing. You don't actually need to have anything violent to happen to you. Just being in prison can give you PTSD. But imagine how worse it is for the people that come home that have been in these war zones, these youth offender JIT camps, these adult prisons that were off the fucking chain. That PTSD is heightened even more. And I believe that also plays a role in why so many felons get out and get guns, because they feel so defenseless. We come from an environment where we keep something on us, we keep a weapon, and we're thrown back into a society that we feel very uncomfortable. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys, they want to grab a weapon quick just so they can feel that security, knowing that as a felon, we're not allowed to possess those weapons, and they end up right back in prison. It's a fucked up cycle. And I hope that at some point in the future, it can be recognized that when we get out of prison, we should have our rights back because we've served our time due to society for the crimes that we've committed. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all and y'all rocking with me. Till next time.